Welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim and my co-host,
Grandma Gail.
Hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. We had to take a week off just to be with family.
We had a lot of traveling, finding each other, getting through the airports, doing all the TSA nonsense. But we did it, and we were together.
Oh, by the way, I had to take my shoes off going through security. I feel like I haven't had to do that in a while.
Well, I haven't traveled in 2 years, so my Clear Pass, the picture was on, but they wouldn't. But they kept rejecting me. So they said, okay, finally, they let me go
You
through.
mean, was it expired?
And no, it doesn't expire, but I guess just because it was inactive for 2 years because I didn't leave my apartment.
That makes zero sense. You know how many people haven't traveled in the last 2 years?
I know. Well, my Clear was not working, so they said they would adjust it the next time I went to an airport. Kimmy, I must say that I did not have a great plane ride, so I could tell you a little about that.
Sure.
Got on the plane.
Wait, but by the way, just to explain, we are now in Florida, coming from New York. For those who haven't listened, that's where we're going on our
right.
trip.
That's where we went on.
My grandma lives in Florida for a lot of the year, and I'm down here visiting her probably for most of the winter, being roommates.
Again.
Like last year.
Again. Well,
I feel like it's going to be different
You're
this
not
time
getting
around.
your room for as long a period of time. I think I'm going to rent it out to somebody else a little bit.
Where am
But
I supposed to go?
you have to stay in New York with your friends because we're back. We know we're back. So this is just, we're down here for the moment. And I got on the plane and it was, every seat was packed on the Delta Airlines flight. I said to the stewardess, I thought they were supposed to leave some empty seats. She said, oh no, not anymore. So that was a little strange, but the flight was good. And then I got to sunny Florida, and it didn't stop raining for a week. So the weather really only turned nice, Kim, when you got here.
Woohoo.
Yeah. So
my flight was delayed like 6 hours, but I knew before going to the airport, so it was fine.
Because I think they were forecasting storms that day. That's why. It never happened, but that's what the reason was. It was something, and there was a storm sweeping in from the Midwest that never quite hit New York.
Right. Some people in the airport said that they loved our podcast and stopped me, which is always so nice to hear. They were like, we love Grandma. I was like, I'm going to see her right now. Have a safe flight. But yeah, no, people are starting to recognize us more and more, which is so nice. We love when you guys say hi.
And we love your questions that we're getting from you.
Yes, we've gotten so many questions. I think we're going to answer them in our next episode and do episode basically just the two of us answering all of our questions because we've gotten a lot and I want to make sure we get to a chunk of them. But in this episode, I don't think we're going to have time.
I think we should introduce our speakers because they're extra special today, our guests.
Yes, I love both of them. We were both very addicted to their show when it came out on Netflix this summer. My Unorthodox Life.
I loved it. I loved her mother.
You watched it probably before.
Yeah, I watched it first.
You watched it like the day it came out.
And it was so interesting because what the mom had to do to leave her community, get the courage up, and then start a career and juggle her family, which was a difficult situation at the time. So it's a fascinating program, and I actually think, Kim, they're coming out with a season 2.
Yeah, season 2 officially renewed for Netflix. I wanted to ask them, I didn't get to this, but like if they expected their season to or their series to be so popular, because does everything that touches Netflix just become popular?
Well, I watch everything. So
yeah, but there's so much.
There's so much, and actually, a content like this really was interesting because it was real. People love to see stories about families and real life families. I mean, they just enjoy it, and maybe they vicariously see themselves in some of the characters. But let's get to them.
Who was your favorite character from the show?
In the show?
Yeah,
I would say the mom.
Really?
Yeah.
Julia?
Yeah, Julia was my favorite because I thought she took such a step for a woman coming from a ultra-Orthodox community, and to see where she ended up and how her journey was, I thought it was fascinating.
I love the two that we're having on, Batsheva and Miriam, which were, of course, Julia's daughters. They both are killing it in life and on social media. They've just grown so much since the show. Of course, also, I'm sure a lot of people listening want to know about Batsheva's divorce that she just announced. So we talked to her about that too and get some of the details. And so hope you guys enjoy. We are joined by Batsheva and Miriam Haart. They are the stars of My Unorthodox Life on Netflix. We were both huge fans of the show.
I loved
it. It was so popular over the summer and everyone's still loving it. Welcome to Excuse My Grandma, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
So just a little bit more background on both of you, and I'll let you get into it. Batsheva is a huge TikToker. That's how she kind of got started. And Miriam is into coding, probably smarter than everyone combined here.
So she's
at
certainly smarter
Stanford.
than us.
Yes. So let's start with a little intro from both of you, your age and your current relationship status.
Hi, I'm Batsheva. I'm 28 and I am newly single. I'm Miriam. I'm 21 years old and I am newly in a relationship.
I'm here. I feel like 8 months isn't newly anymore.
Yeah, I guess so. Compared to your past relationship, it's new. So that's why I said that. But yeah.
Obviously, it's probably a little hard to talk about, but you were married for 9 years. Is it weird to say newly single, or is it relieving?
Definitely weird.
Yeah. And then Miriam, where did you meet your girlfriend?
I actually met my girlfriend on Hinge.
Okay.
Oh no,
Yeah.
a dating app.
A dating app.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
a big fan of dating apps. What do you guys think?
I mean, like, I'm obsessed.
And then Batsheva, is that something that you think you'll get on now, or?
Maybe, but I've never been on one, so I don't have a real opinion. But I think I've heard a lot of great things. You know, Mary met her girlfriend, and Shlomo goes on lots of dates through all the apps. So I know people like it.
When you guys filmed the show, was Shlomo on any apps, or that's kind of a new thing?
I don't think so. I don't remember, honestly.
I think we were like setting up his profiles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So for those listening who don't know about the show, explain to us, either one of you can take this one, what the series is about.
So the show follows my family, and we kind of talk about how we went from this ultra-Orthodox community, and my mom transitioned out, and some of us followed right away and some of us took a little bit longer, but how she went from being like a stay-at-home mom to the CEO of Elite Model World, one of the largest agencies globally. And just like our family dynamics, we're all in different religious spaces. We all love and respect each other. So it's kind of about a family who is just like going through transitions and supporting each other and hopefully making the world a better place.
Well, I actually loved the series. I thought it was fascinating. And I thought your mother was just an amazing person to be able to do what she did at her age. Also, it's easier when you're 18 or 19 and to split from a community rather than when you have children and have to make that decision.
Yeah.
But it was curious in the series when I was watching it, and it was over the summer, so maybe I don't have this correct. You married very young, did you not? Yeah. And was mom for that or against that? So I never really understood. Was she supportive of that situation?
Yeah, I mean, where I was coming from, like you get married at, like I started, like my mom wanted me to start dating when I was 18. So it was like very much what the community expected of women.
Right.
I met through family friends. So it was like a little more casual, but after we started dating for a little bit, they were like, you either get married or you break up. There's no like, you don't have a boyfriend where I came from.
But the option to go to university was not there for you.
I didn't.
You chose not to do it.
So people do go, but like majority, if they do go, it's like an all girls program. Not like regular college like Miriam's in Stanford. Like that was never something I ever thought I was going to do. And it wasn't promoted at all. So like, it just wasn't on my mind. I didn't go to college until I was 24. So I'm still a student. I hopefully will graduate by the time I'm 30.
My school didn't know how to submit my transcript to Stanford. That was like, there's no college guidance counselor. It was like a whole ordeal. It took 6 months for my school to just submit my college application.
Miriam,
So
where did you go to high school? Were you at a religious high school? Yeah.
So I bounced around a little bit. I started off in the school called Ateras. So I went there for 9th and 10th grade, and then I switched to My Unorthodox, which is another more modern Orthodox school. So the first school I went to was like not modern Orthodox, and then it was very Orthodox, and the second was they had sports for girls and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
My note is the same name as like the birthright program that I did. What does that mean?
Oh, I think it means crown. Oh no, that's a terrace. What is mine? Oh, it means ocean or wave.
Oh,
It means
interesting.
like a wave. Yeah.
Going back a little bit, when did your family decide to leave Muncie, the community that you grew up in? How old were both of you?
Your mother, not the family.
Oh,
just,
true.
just
Your
her mom.
Mm-hmm.
Mary, you want to do this?
Yeah, I can talk about this. Yeah, so my mom left right after Batsheva got married. So that was when I was 12, so 2012 or like 13, around that time. And she started just traveling, doing her thing. Batsheva was in Israel, and she would come back for some weekends, like every other weekend or every weekend. And I went with her out for a little bit too, and then, but primarily stayed in Muncie.
So you stayed with your dad during that
Yeah,
period.
with my dad.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so at that time it was like me and Aaron in the house with my dad, and I think my Shlomo was also in Israel then, if I'm not mistaken.
He was
Um,
he was
I
home
think
when
the
we
first
got
year.
married, and he left like the next year.
Yeah, the next year. Okay, so he was there the first year, then he left to Israel the next year. And yeah, so then that's
And Miriam, it was kind of up to you whether you wanted to stay in the community or not.
yeah, so pretty much I didn't know any other way of life, and so this was my first time being exposed to a person that happened to be my mom, who was living a life outside of Muncie. And so once I turned 16, so it took me about 3.5 years to really just even allow myself to ask her why she's doing this, because I was so ingrained and indoctrinated that my way of life is the right way, because that's what everybody I knew did. And so it was only once I turned 16 and she took me to Paris with her for my 16th birthday. And I was at a raclette restaurant with her. She was eating ham and cheese and like just all these different meats and pouring cheese on it. And I was eating just like baked potatoes because that's all that was I considered to be kosher. And so I'm eating this potato while she's like saying, "Oh my God, this is so good. Like life is amazing." And I'm just looking at her like all sad, eating like lettuce and potatoes. And I finally allowed myself to be like, okay, why is it okay that you're doing this right now? Because I was taught my entire life that this is literally the equivalent of going to hell. This is just wrong. It's immoral. It's like stealing and so that's when I allowed myself to question. And then after 6 months, after I heard her, she had reasons for everything. And so once I heard her reasoning, I allowed myself to question. And then 6 months later, I stopped believing in the religion and I moved to San Francisco. And so that was my out of the community. Yeah.
Would either of you have changed the way that you grew up if you could have?
It's a great question.
No, I think that I never like to look at any experiences I had and like say I would do them differently, because it's made me who I am today. So I'm very thankful for my upbringing and just like my life path, I guess.
I was curious because Batsheva, when you got married so young, and your mom had left the community, and that was a betrayal you felt of your way of life. You didn't have anything like a prenup at the time, because I have a feeling you didn't have any money and he didn't have any money. Or does that enter anything in the community? Do you sign any papers?
Nowadays, like I've heard from people that a lot of people are doing something called a halachic prenup, which basically, because you get married in the legal system, but then you also get married in the Jewish courts, and a man still has the power to, take away your right to get divorced in the Jewish courts. So a lot of people, because there have been some really big issues within the community of men not giving their wives a get, which is like a halachic, or what's the word? I'm trying to translate myself.
A religious divorce.
Religious divorce. Thank you. So there's something that they put together that it basically like you both parties need to sign so that he can't withhold that power over you. And I think a lot of people are doing that. That wasn't something that I thought about when I got married, but it is something that people are doing now.
Because we had a very interesting, a few weeks ago, we had a divorce lawyer on who was wonderful. And she was saying that, anybody who has any property or anything prior to marriage really has to have some kind of legal, if you have nothing, you don't have to sign anything. But if you have things going into a marriage, then something has to be down on paper.
But I guess if the people around you aren't doing that or don't tell you that, like, how would you know?
Yeah, I mean, I know that people do like regular or legal prenups, but it's definitely not like spoken about so much. But this new like religious prenup has recently been very popular because of all the terrible tragedies of men withholding women's rights to remarry and get divorced.
Yeah, it's for some people, I'm sure it sounds so foreign, a lot of these rules, and even watching the show, like not wearing pants and things like that. Can you guys describe like the religious reason behind why you can't wear pants? And also each of your time wearing pants for the first time.
So I guess for the religious part, it's like something called a beged ish, which is men's clothing. So that's where like back in the day, I would say, I think until like maybe the 40s, 50s, closer, like women didn't wear pants. It wasn't something that was part of society. So it was considered beged ish, like men's clothing. And that's why it was not allowed. And you're also not supposed to like show the shape of your legs. And there's other things that go into it. So I didn't start wearing pants until February will be 2 years ago. So really recent.
Way after you were married.
Way after I was married. Way. I was like 27.
Yeah. Well, it's a modesty issue for the very religious. So it's right.
And then Miriam, what about you?
Well, Miriam is with us. She's wearing pants all the time.
Yeah. But no, I mean, like the first time I wore pants was when I was 16, I think. And so it was playing basketball. That's all. I remember growing up and just wanting to wear basketball shorts. Like that's what I wanted to do. And I remember I would be with my mom, we'd be at a mall trying to find shirts this is a very sneeze shirt. This passes the test, it covers my collarbones and my elbows. And I remember we would go shopping and try to find clothes that did that. And my mom would be like, oh, look at those leather leggings. Like these pants look so amazing. I wish I could wear them. And I'd be like, look at those basketball shorts. Like it looks so soft and loose and comfortable. And so those were the first pairs of pants that I wore. They're basketball shorts.
I want to talk a little bit about your relationships with your mom. I'm super close with my grandma. Like I share everything pretty much with her, especially when it comes to dating. I need her advice. Which one of you, I mean, from watching the show, it seemed like maybe Miriam kind of is more similar to your mom, so shared stuff in that way. But what would you guys say? Like, who's more open?
Ooh, Miriam.
I guess, yeah, I would say like, honestly, my mom's my best friend. So there's nothing that I'm scared to talk about with her, tell her. Like once, if I don't know what I can say because it's a podcast, but pretty much she's helped me in high school with things, like she was always there for me. And so I'll always be there for her. And so I definitely have this relationship with her that's founded on love, So
do you want to go into her agency at all? Is that any future plan for you to take a part in that? Because
no, I do actually. I had a conversation with her recently where since like I'm at Stanford, I'm always networking. I have my website and my business cards, and I have ideas of things I want to do. I like having my 5-year plan, my 10-year plan, and so I had a conversation with her pretty much of saying, should I continue spending my time networking and making connections and finding a job, or should I focus on the things I need to learn and join your mission and work for you? And so she said, yes, like this is what I want you to do. And I said, okay. And so the past year, instead of focusing on networking and finding connections to get a job, I've been focusing on my education and just being ready for my position when I decide to join elite.
Now, what year are you in college?
I'm a senior.
Oh, you're a senior, so it's fine. Okay. Batsheva, are you in the company now doing something? Because you always look gorgeous. I have to tell you, I've followed you on.
She loves your TikTok.
Oh my gosh. You look so pretty in every outfit you put on, and you could just be a model on TikTok all day long.
Yeah, I mean, I'm represented by Elite.
Okay.
Jesse's my manager on here, and so I work with them. And then I also help with like their social media programs for the models that they onboard and talent in general.
Do you think that after the show, either of you have had more of an interest of being like in media and showbiz and entertainment? And also just in general, like how's your lives changed after all of this?
After the show.
Mhm.
I guess I can go. Yeah, so I would say that yes, actually, I play guitar, and so something on my bucket list is to release a single at some point.
Oh my God,
So you heard it here, everyone, for the first time. I will definitely be releasing a single. I have titles of songs that I really like so far, so we'll see. And then I mean, like, I assume so because this industry is very exciting, you know. And so once you're in it, it's hard to say. At least for me, I feel like it's hard to say goodbye. I just want to do more and talk about more things and be in front of the camera. And so, I'm sure we'll be around for longer. I think Batsheva will feel the same way. But yeah,
you were just renewed for season 2, which is very exciting. Have you started filming yet?
not yet. No,
Okay.
we're very
I
soon. though.
want to ask you something. How much of it is created for the show? Is it basically, I know it's a reality show. I know most of it is accurate, but they have to make a story out of it and, you know, on each
Episode.
segment. So is any of it false and it's just created to make the story go smoothly, or is it pretty accurate?
No, I think what's like special about our show is that they look at like what we're up to and film that instead of creating
Story.
experiences for us. So I think that's why like the show resonated with more people, because there wasn't like all this fake random drama. We're just like sharing what we're actually up to and like experiences that we're actually having, and that's like what made it interesting.
Can you share anything that we can see in season 2, like anything that you guys are going to be up to?
You will have to wait and watch.
I thought I
They're
could.
not going to give this away. They're not doing that. That's for sure. Now, are you living in the city on your own now, Batsheva, or you live back at mom's, or do you're staying in?
Yeah, I'm still with my mom until I move back into my apartment in a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So post divorce, you obviously can't live in the same place anymore. So do you think you'll keep your apartment or find a new place?
Yeah, I plan on staying in my apartment and redecorating. So actually my Instagram today, like reaching out to artists and different people to help me revamp my space so it feels just for me.
Yeah, no, it's so true, because so many people that I know who like live with a significant other and then decide to like break up, everything reminds them of the other person, and it's like such a real thing. So I think it's important probably to revamp your space and like to share that with people, because it's definitely a thing. So I want to get into a little bit. You were married for 9 years. Just last week or so, you announced your separation. Can I read what you put on your Instagram story just so people know? Like the little statement. So you said, after some time and consideration, we have made the difficult decision to separate. We have so much love and respect for each other, but have realized that it's time to take some space to ensure that each of us live the most joyous, fulfilling lives possible. So just can you share with people the main reason or one of the main reasons that you wanted to do it?
By the way, before you even say it, I never thought you were a good combination.
Oh,
She's so unfiltered.
I watched that the show and I didn't see it. I couldn't understand it. I mean, you're so smart, and I couldn't figure out the whole thing. So I'd like to hear what
well, you'll have to watch season 2 to get all the details.
Be on it?
And that's all that I can say right now. So I'm just sharing my experience trying to navigate, single life.
Well, you're young.
Yeah.
You're young, and New York is a great place to be a single girl.
Yes.
Woman.
Thank you.
Would you recommend people get married at a young age?
No, definitely not. When people would ask us this, like, since we got married, we're like, it's too young. 19 is way too young. I wouldn't go back and change anything, because again, like, I'm very thankful. Like, he helped me grow into the person I am today, and I love who I am. So I really appreciate like everything that we've been through together. But I don't think that getting married that young, like, you're still developing into a new person. So you need time to like do that on your own or with someone who's not your forever person. That's my personal experience. I mean, my personal thought on it.
Also, I
But
think a man should, it's very difficult for a 19 or
yeah,
20-year-old man. He's a boy
boy,
at 19 or
a
20
boy. Yeah.
and really not a man. And I think that's a major thing. A woman at 19 with the right partner can survive, but a man really can't. He hasn't found himself he really hasn't found his place in the world. And it's really unfair. And that's part of the problem with the community. If I might say, I'm out of the community. I am Jewish. I don't really understand all the ramifications of the community, but that is a big detriment to a relationship, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And again, like, that's not to say that if someone does get married that age, it's not going to work out, but I think that it's much more challenging. And I think like like it's hard to find someone that you can like grow into who you're going to be with if you get married that young.
Yeah, that makes sense. Miriam's obviously, well, I want to get into your relationship in a second, but also you're friends with all your exes, as we saw like on the show. You had them all at your party. Batsheva, do you think you'll have a similar outlook once you start going back into the dating pool as Miriam does, and like be down to have all your exes in the same room?
I don't know. I have no idea. I always thought that was really inspiring of Miriam to be able to do that. But I think Miriam, if I may say this, she didn't have any like seriousness with any of the
wasn't a
people.
9-year. Yeah.
It was just like fun, and she had a good time. So there's no bad blood. So I feel like it's a little different, like when you go out on a couple of dates to call someone your ex. Like, I don't even know if you can consider all those people exes, unless they were like labeled as a partner. But that's just my feelings, right, Miriam?
Yeah.
That's
Really
fair.
Miriam, I love the scene. I think about this all the time where you were talking to your mom and you were like, how I'm bi or whatever. And she was like, not whatever, like you're bi, own it. I just loved that. When did you realize that you were bisexual?
Well, I think that I always was bisexual because I remember when I was younger, like 10 years old or 11 years old, I would just stare at my friend's boobs and I thought that was normal. So I didn't realize, I thought every person did that, like every girl. I didn't think that that was like a thing that means I was bisexual. But I clearly was always attracted to women. And I think that the first time I admitted that I was bisexual or really accepted it was when I was in San Francisco. And every girl there was bisexual because it was a very gay area. And so all of my friends were somewhat queer. And so they always talked about it. And so I think one time somebody asked me, "Oh, are you?" And I said yes. And the first time I said yes, I think was actually my freshman year at Stanford. And somebody just like asked me, like, "Are you bi?" And I was like totally taken back by that question. I'm like, what? Why do I look bi? Like, what does this mean? And then I just said yes. And that was my first time admitting that to people and to myself. Yeah.
Batsheva, on the show, you were kind of like coming to grips with this with your sister and thought it might have been a phase. When did you really come to understand that like this is who she is? Was there a moment or just time?
I think just like having like a real conversation with her is like, that's what, we never really like spoke about her dating in general. So it was just like all like a very new experience between us. Very thankful like that we're super close because we do have like a 7-year age gap. So growing up, we were always in like very different stages of life. So it was like really, so it was just like exciting to be able to hear, like, I never had a sibling who was dating, like Shlomo only just started dating. So to have like, a sister going through different experiences was just like something completely new to me. So I was just like happy to be able to like hear her side and like hear how she's feeling and be able to connect with her on that level.
Nice. Obviously, your mom is super sex positive. She was giving vibrators around the office. Miriam, I was hoping maybe you could rate from everyone in the family on a scale of like super, super open about sex to like the least open. How would you rate everyone?
So super open to least. So mom, like if super open is 10, she's 10. Or she's 12. I'd go a little bit over the scale, honestly. And then older brother, I would say like with family, probably more open. So I would give him like a 4 with a 5. I'll give him a 5 with family. And then outside of that, a 0 probably. And then Batsheva, and also with family, like with me at least, we're very open with each other when it comes to like talking about sex. So I would say 10. And then in public, I don't know, maybe like 3. For that,
No, that
that
makes
sounds
sense.
good.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And then for me, I would say I'm also pretty much like 10-10. I would say I'm pretty open all around. I look at my girlfriend, I'm like, can I say this to my friends, if we're about to talk about something?
Yeah.
If she gives me a little like head nod, then I know it's okay. But I'm so open about it. So yeah.
Nice. I also wanted to know, since obviously I do this podcast with my grandma, what is your relationship with your grandma or grandparents, if they're still around? Are they still in the community?
My dad's mom, she's like, we call her, she's grandma to us, and she's a great grandma, I think. Always sends us cards on birthdays and Hanukkah and things like that. And so I talked to her. I remember coming out to her. That was probably like 2 days before the show came out, because I wanted it to come from me and not from a Netflix show, and so I was like, "Oh, hi, Grandma. I have a girlfriend."
And what did you say?
And she was like, "Oh." That was pretty much her response. It was just like, I'm like, "But don't worry, because like no matter what, my child will be Jewish. I am a girl, so do not worry." And so she's like, "Okay." And then my other grandma is very religious, and so we don't really. I don't really talk to her. I don't know about Batsheva doesn't either, I guess. Yeah. So that's the story there.
Mm-hmm. What Jewish traditions do either of you still do, and like what level of Judaism would you consider yourselves?
I guess besides from my little brother Aaron, I'm probably like the most religious still. I still like keep Shabbat, not strictly, like I'll watch TV and I'll go on my phone, but I don't work. Like I don't go on social media. I don't answer my emails. So it's still not the level of observance that I was doing or I was brought up with, but to me, it's still like a day of rest, and it feels like a different day of the week, and just like a family day. And I like that I have that day off for myself, like spiritually and like mental health wise, to kind of check out. And I think that's why I love what I do still. A lot of people are like, how are you not burnt out? Like you always share so much. And I'm like, every single week since the day I started, I'm never on social media for 25 hours every single week. So I think that really helps like ground me and appreciate what I do.
And
Would you ever marry a non-Jewish man? Or would you even date one?
I definitely would date, specifically so that I am not looking to get in a relationship right now.
Oh, I know that. Well, that we know.
I feel like that's my thing, specifically would want to date non-Jewish people, so I can't make myself serious about anything.
Okay.
But I would ideally like to be with someone who's like traditional in their Jewish values, but I'll never say never to anything. So.
And then Miriam, what level like would you consider yourself, or do you do any traditions still?
I'm very like pridefully Jewish, I would say. So I like have a Star of David necklace, and I go to like Jewish things at Stanford, different events that they have, and I actually, something that I picked up starting my senior year at Stanford was every Friday night, and I kept this throughout this entire semester. I had Friday night dinners where I would invite 4 people, and each person would invite somebody new. And we would have a themed conversation. It would be moral relativity, or the theory of time, and just like so many different, or sex, or like, just somebody else would come up with an idea, or art. And so it definitely wasn't like a Shabbos dinner. And ever somebody said that to me, I'd be like, no, this is not a Shabbos meal. This is an intellectual conversation that we're having at Stanford,
But it was on Friday.
On a Friday.
But it happens to be on a Friday.
But it happens to be a Friday night. And so I would say that I really like that. And it's similar to what Batsheva was saying, where it's like this one day where you come together, friends, family, and you just put everything else aside. and you talk and you're just with each other. And I think that's special and beautiful. And I think as I get older, I'm understanding more why that exists. And so I'm learning to appreciate it more.
Yeah. So also both your parents are remarried. Congratulations. I know your dad was more recent. How does everybody get along with each other, and how did you what were your feelings kind of going through that when your parents got remarried?
Well, tomorrow we're having Thanksgiving by my mom with my dad and his new wife. So we all get along really well. I think that it's not super common, but I think it should be more common. I know it's not so easy. Like I give a lot of praise and thanks to my parents for being able to put their differences aside and just give us family time. And that's it. You know, they get along great post-marriage. So we're all very happy. And I think I speak for both of us and like my siblings. We ultimately just want our parents to be happy. So to see them with partners that do that for them, is really, it's really nice.
And also, so your mom married Silvio Haart. I feel like a lot of people, you know, kind of were making comments. I'm curious what you guys think of this, of like his role, like, or his part in her career wasn't really shown on the show as much. Like, what do you guys say to comments like that?
That is the only time I ever respond to hateful messages, is when people say that my mom has any of her success from a man. This is all her. She worked her ass off. She made all of her connections. She like literally is the hardest working person I ever have met. She literally works 24/7. So I never respond to hate, but when people write comments like that, like I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Who the hell are you? I get very passionate about it just because I know my mom has worked so hard. And I think it's like so disappointing in society today that women can't be considered successful without the help of a man or anything like that. Like, why is that always a topic, and why is it always come into question?
Was Haart her maiden name, or did she make that?
Haart, yeah, her maiden name is Leibov, and
I thought it
is Haart. So that's where it's inspired by her name.
Creative, okay.
And yeah, he actually, when they got married, said he would take on her name, and we've taken on my mom's name as well professionally. Well, Miriam changed her name legally. I have 3 names. Well, now I have 2 names.
So many names.
So many.
What's in a name? What's in a name? Exactly.
So I would love to end the episode with Grandma Gail's old-fashioned dating quiz.
Just because I'm old, so I'm giving you an old-fashioned quiz.
So it's something we've been doing with our guests recently. We're also going to do like a put a finger down TikTok for this, but basically we'll go through a few scenarios, and at the end we will deem whether you are an old-fashioned dater or a modern dater. So first one is, do you prefer to call or text the person that you're dating?
Well, Miriam.
Call.
Miriam.
Okay. And then
yeah.
I don't know if I could like be in this pool yet. I've never dated anyone really.
Hypothetically,
I guess text.
Okay. Would you sleep with someone on the first date?
Yes.
I'd like to say no, but I again have no experience to bring this on.
Okay. Dating apps or setups? We kind of talked about this, but
I think setups are cool, but I think dating apps are awesome too.
I think it depends what you're looking for. If you want sex, dating app. If you want a relationship, setup.
So would you move in together before getting engaged or after?
Or not at all?
I would like to wait until I'm married to live with a significant other.
She's a
before
my own heart.
Okay. I agree with before, yeah. Get picked up for a date, or do you prefer to meet them at the restaurant?
Well, I feel like New York City is so different.
Yeah, true. I feel like
I would say meet at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Me.
I mean, I think pickup is nice, but
not necessary. You could
not necessary in New York City.
Would you ever sleep with multiple people at once?
Ooh, it's a goal.
Definitely.
And from experience, though.
Yeah.
I want to go back as Miriam. Forget it. You're so boring.
Oh my God.
You were so boring.
Okay, last one. Should one person in the couple always pay, or should you alternate?
I'm an alternate. I never let guys pay for my bills. I actually am really against that. I think it's like a power dynamic thing.
What about with the woman?
With the woman, alternate. Just alternate. Yeah.
That's the answer.
Mhm.
Alternate.
Yeah.
And
makes sense.
Batsheva, what do you think?
Well, I guess like I'm kind of old school that I want a guy to take me out,
Mhm.
but I think that I would offer, take my
It's like you, Kimmy.
wallet out.
Yeah, I do this thing, the reach. I like reach toward my
Yeah.
back, hoping that they're gonna be like, no, no, no.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's rude if you don't reach
Exactly.
in today's world, but I still want someone to take me out and pay for me.
Yeah. Okay, that was it. So it's honestly
What's
what I
their
got.
score? What's their score? Their score is mixed.
Miriam only got 2 old-fashioned things, I think it was. So definitely a modern dater. But Sheva was more mixed, but on the cusp of traditional.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Batsheva's with me and Miriam's with you. So that works out.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much
You're
for
terrific.
joining us on Excuse My Grandma. We love you both.
you.
Thank
Tell
you.
our listeners how they can follow both of you and watch your show.
Yeah, so you can follow me, Batsheva, at Batsheva Haart on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, all the platforms, and you can watch My Unorthodox Life on Netflix, streaming now.
Yeah, and my handle's at Miriam Haart, all the platforms Batsheva mentioned. So feel free to follow.
Hope you all enjoyed listening to the girls today. I thought they're so nice and down to earth and really, give you their opinion on where their lives are going. So I thought it was a very, very entertaining, Kim.
Let's do our 1950s movie of the week.
What do you think?
I think that since Batsheva and Miriam are sisters, we should do something about sisters.
That sounds good.
There's a movie, Young at Heart, 1954.
Very, very good with Doris Day.
Yep, and Frank Sinatra. And it was about, the lives and romances of 3 sisters. And it's a musical.
Again, a fantasy that everybody will just get a giggle out of. Enjoy.
Okay, another great episode of Excuse My Grandma. You know how to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Excuse My Grandma. You can comment your questions on our videos. You can DM me. And also, please don't forget to give us a review on Apple Podcasts and rate us 5 stars so we can make more of what you guys like to hear and rise to the top of the charts.